What up guys, Supermetal983 here, and here we are again for the top 25 albums of 2017 video. Now, just like last year, we're going to be getting through 3 honourable mentions this year, and following that up with the top 25 albums that I feel were the best in 2017. Now, I might as well say it that 2017 has been another monolithic year for new music. There's been so many great albums that I think last year it was quite easy to determine, looking back on it, the top albums of the year, like what order I wanted to put them in and stuff like that. But this year, it's been more or less the same sort of thing, but I feel like there is still so many albums that I would love to talk about and say they were definitely highlights for me. Like, for example, Venom Inc., Memoriam, Suffocation, Morbid Angel, amongst others. There's been so many great albums that have come out in 2017, and there's been some albums that I haven't even checked out yet, so there'll always be late bloomers for me, you know what I mean? I mean, for example, I haven't checked out the new Cannibal Corpse yet. I know that's a bit of a sin to say that, but what can you do? I will eventually check it out, because I do like Cannibal Corpse, I just haven't really been in the mood for a bit of their music, really. But what I have here is what's it all together? 28 albums to show you and talk about, and we're going to whittle down a top 25 list and 3 honourable mentions, which I'm going to be calling Super Metal Honourable Recommendations. I'm going with that, so if you don't like it... Anyway, moving on, we have the Super Metal Honourable Recommendations. Number 1 is Miss May I with Shadows Inside. Now, Miss May I have been around quite a while now, put out some of the great metalcore albums that they have in the past, but in my opinion the past 2 albums haven't really been anything with a X factor to them. In my opinion, there's not really been anything sticky out about their whole, well, past 2 albums personally. They've been good albums, have just not been really anything special to me, but this album really clicked with me. I really enjoyed it. It seems like they're going a bit more back to the heavier side of things, but it's still continuing along the path that they've been known for doing, and this album is definitely another solid album in their discography, and definitely a return to form in my eyes personally. But yeah, check out Miss May I with Shadows Inside if you like your metalcore. Next up, we have some black metal. Yeah, we all love a bit of black metal, I hope. But yeah, this is the next honourable mention, and it goes to Nocturnal Mortem with Verity, I believe it's how it's pronounced. Now, this album was kind of a little bit of a late bloomer for me. It wasn't really an album that clicked with us straight away. It was sort of like built up quite a lot. Like the first couple of listens, I thought, yeah, it was a good album. It just wasn't wow, in my opinion. But after a couple of listens, the right day, the right mood clicked in, and I was like, this is some fucking solid shit. And I have to say, it's a great album. The pioneers of the whole black folk metal sort of sound. They are one of the most iconic in that style and genre. But I have to say, compared to Voice of Steel, this annihilates it. And in my opinion, it annihilates all their albums. In my opinion, like, Lunar Poetry is the pedestal, you know, that I hold them up to. But this album takes the biscuit for me, personally. I really enjoyed it. It has a bit more of a nastier sort of vibe to it, like a bit of a crunchier, crisper edge to it that I really like. It's a bit more grittier, but it's still very atmospheric, very beautiful, and definitely an album that I think you just need to check out if you're into your black folk metal sort of stuff. So yeah, check out the new Nocturnal Mortem with Verity, and I might as well also point out that this is my favourite album artwork of 2017, bar none. Just that painting is just incredible. Absolutely amazing stuff. So check out Nocturnal Mortem with Verity. Next up, the next Super Metal Honourable Recommendation, and the final one goes to 100th. Oh, with that area. 100th with Rare. Now, 100th are obviously well known for their melodic hardcore style and with a bit of a post-hardcore kind of edge to it, but it seems as though they've decided to change up their style and go all shoegazy ambient post-hardcore, which I really didn't expect to see from these guys. But having said that, this is now my favourite album of these guys. I absolutely love it. I love the whole atmosphere that it creates. It's such a soothing, serenading kind of album where it's like the perfect album to chill back to. I've chilled back so many times to this album. It's really mesmerising. It's definitely a mesmerising album, and definitely something you need to check out. If you fancy something a little bit different, then definitely check out this album. It's very beautiful, if you ask me. Very serenading. Awesome, awesome stuff. Just really looking forward to the future. If they're going to continue along that direction, I'm all in on that shit. But yeah, now we have the top 25 list for you. So, as per usual, remember, this is my list, not yours. Obviously, you're going to have different opinions to mine. But also, remember, at the end of the day, there's going to be some artists that you haven't heard of or you've wanted to check out. And hopefully, this will push you to go and check them out. So, let's get on with it. Coming in at number 25, we have Impureza with their second album, or sophomore album, which is called, it's in Spanish, so bear with me, La Queda de Tonatu? I think that's how it's pronounced. It's Spanish and I'm not very good. But yeah, French progressive death metal done fucking amazingly. This is easily my favourite progressive death metal release of 2017. Yeah, the new Persephone was great. The new Neobliboscaris was incredible. But in my opinion, Impureza returning was definitely something that I was really looking forward to, and they are back. First album in 7 years, and in my opinion, it's absolutely amazing. It takes more of a progressive death metal kind of vibe, whereas the last album 7 years ago was more, in my opinion, a bit more of a melodic death metal album with... but one of my favourite aspects of the band is the influence of flamenco guitar in the music, and it sounds amazing if you ask me. So make sure you check out Impureza with their new album La Queda de Tonatu. Don't know how to fucking pronounce it, but this album riffs so hard. If you want something interesting to check out, definitely check out these guys. Alright, coming in at number 24, we have Discarnate with their new album With All Their Might. Discarnate, the riff lords of UK death metal, if you ask me. They have returned for their first album in 5 years, and so it came to pass when it came out in 2012 was an absolute masterpiece to me. One of my favourite albums, in fact, of all time. It's just that fucking good. And obviously, with that kind of pedestal, you have to return with a vengeance. And they have returned, as the title says, with all their might. This is heavy, crushing death metal, and armed with a new bass and vocalist that, in my opinion, definitely has a different flavour. It definitely adds a little bit of a different vibe to the album, but it still doesn't take away of what Discarnate has managed to do over the past 3 albums that they brought out, is bring the riffs hard, punchy, and headbangable. It's this album definitely riffs. Definitely check out the new Discarnate if you haven't already and you're into heavy riff and death metal. Coming in at number 23, kind of a like surprising release you could say, but we have What Passes for Survival by Pyron. Now, Pyron I discovered a couple of years back, and they blew me away with their technicality, their chaoticness, and the whole just obnoxiousness that they had going for themselves. And I was really impressed with the follow-up EP to their second album, I should say, because I checked them out on their second album. But the EP that followed their second album was amazing, and it trumped the second album, in my personal opinion. But then again, they had a new album in the works, and they dropped it in 2017 under Willowtip after parting ways with Relapse Records, and they brought the album that I needed to hear from these guys. This is fucking amazing. I love it. It honestly feels like originality is just all over this album. There's so many aspects to it. The heavy, chaotic part, it's very progressive, but very technical as hell. And in my opinion, it adds just so much just wow factor and interesting and intricate parts that it really keeps your attention going for it. And that's why I love Pyro, is the intricateness and the originality to the sound. But it is still going to assault the living shit out of you and mind fuck you. That's the type of mood you need to be in to listen to this album. But every time I listen to this album, I get into that mood, and it impresses us so much. Every time I listen to this album, I get blown away. So make sure you check out Pyron with What Passes for Survival. Excellent technical death metal from the US, I believe. Next up, coming in at number 22, we have Mortar Skuld with Wounds Deeper Than Time. This was an early bird album of the year for me, and I was so stoked for this album when it got announced, and then when it came out, I was in love with it. I listened to it so many times, and I keep on falling in love with it every time I listen to it. For all, it's obviously whittled its way down this, but still, it's still very abrasive, very powerful. It's definitely one of the most powerful death metal releases, and it's definitely pounding death metal. Obviously, the band hasn't done an album in, like, I think it was 20 years, what I read up. So I haven't listened to that older stuff, I can't deny that, but this album definitely riffs hard. If you're a fan of Cannibal Corpse, you'll find something to like about these guys. This is hard-hitting riffs and power death metal, just amazing. And I have to say, though, AJ, Cannibalistic Zombie on YouTube, I've been following his work for many years, and this is definitely his best bass work to date. This is absolutely amazing, so make sure you check out Mortar Skuld with Wounds Deeper Than Time. Phenomenal stuff, if you ask me. Alright, next up, this one was kind of a surprising release for me. It was kind of something that I didn't expect to be as high on my list as it is, but I absolutely love it. And coming in at number 21, 21, we have Emblem with Look At Yourself. Now, Emblem, obviously, they're not the most technical of bands. They're not the most original style of band. But, in my opinion, their albums have been pretty solid over the years. They're pretty solid band in general. But, if you ask me, this album is definitely my favourite now. I think the new lineup, I believe the new musicians are part of Glass Cloud, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously, Josh Travis on the guitar and stuff like that, who used to be in Tony Danza Extravaganza. But, my God, the riffs on this album hit so hard, the pounding, it feels quite percussive in such a way, but I love the heaviness, I love the emotion, just feels a lot more gritty, and it just feels like it's not just breakdown after breakdown, it's like quite heavy on the riffs department, like sheer riffs, in my opinion, rather than just breakdowns. But I really enjoy this album. I'm quite surprised I love it as much as I do, but that doesn't take away from the fact that I really enjoy it, and I'm not ashamed of it. This album is fucking fantastic, if you ask me. So check out the new Emblem, Look At Yourself. Very surprising release. Coming in at number 20, we have Unausprechlichen Kulten with Kazia Lilith Medea Chapter X, I believe it's how it's pronounced. So, the whole black metal, death metal, black and death metal kind of incantation-esque kind of style has all been a rare with me in 2017. I fell in love with the style and fell in love with so many bands like Incantation I fell properly in love with again, and Father Befouled amongst others. But when it came to black and death metal, one of the albums that I stuck on that I loved and listened to so much in 2017 was the new Unausprechlichen Kulten. My exposure to the band, and this album riffs so hard, and it's one of the most disturbing, dark, twisted, and most abysmal sounding death metal albums I've heard in 2017. Like, for as good as black and death metal goes in 2017, this is definitely my favourite. But I have to say, in esque of death metal, there's nothing more uglier than this album. This album kills so much, if you ask me. It's dismal as hell and dark as anything. So make sure you check out Unausprechlichen Kulten with Kazia Lilith Medea. Definitely one of the top dogs of 2017, and definitely one that I listen to the most in 2017, if you ask me. Coming in at number 19, I believe this is Abhorrent Decimation with The Pardoner. Wow, this album riffs hard. This is a kind of like death metal, deathcore kind of hybrid, like 50% death metal, 50% deathcore, and it definitely brings the riffs hard on this album. It's heavy, abrasive, and just punchy as hell and gritty as hell, and it's not like super low, but it's quite high production, which I really like. It definitely adds a lot more to this album, and I think Abhorrent Decimation have brought the heaviness with this album. Definitely and how could we say this? You could say it's a bigger level or pedestal that they put themselves on compared to the last album. The last album was really fucking good, but this is amazing if you ask me. I was so impressed with this album, and definitely a band that I need to see in 2018, so hopefully they'll come to Newcastle, or if indeed I get to see them anywhere. So yeah, check out Abhorrent Decimation with The Pardoner. Excellent, excellent stuff. Alright, next up we have number 18 with Wagedood, with an album title that I really can't pronounce. De Doden Hebben Het God 2. I believe that's how it's pronounced. I'll just open it up so you can actually see. That shit. But yeah, one of the best black metal albums I have heard in 2017. This stuff, like, really impressed me. Featuring members of Oathbreaker, playing just straight up black metal. Obviously with Oathbreaker, it's kind of like a post-hardcore kind of influence, post-black metal kind of style. Obviously very good stuff in my opinion. But this album has been on repeat so much in 2017. I absolutely love it. I love the artwork, how simple it is and quite picturesque, if you ask me. And you open it up like so, and it makes like that artwork. Beautiful stuff. But the music itself, it's like, the only way I would describe it is a very atmospheric style of black metal. It's not straight up atmospheric black metal that you would hear on the likes of Druk or Agalloch or Wodenthrone, for example. Or it's kind of like along the same sort of lines as Winter Violet in some ways, shape or form. I definitely think if you're a fan of Winter Violet, you'll find something to like about these guys. But it's kind of got a raw, nasty approach to it, but the production's very loud and very crushing in an extent. It's very raw and nasty, but I really, really like it. It's not too raw that it just takes away, you know, the feels of it. It just creates great atmospherics, and it just creates this picturesque kind of just feels and atmosphere that you just can't shake off. And I absolutely love this album, and I cannot wait to head to the countryside at some point and listen to this album, because I know it's going to be an experience and a half. So make sure you check out one of my favourite black metal releases of 2017, Wagedood with De Doden Hebben Het God. I know I butchered the living shit out of that, I tell you that. Alright, next up we have the new album from the band The Convalescents with This Is Hell at number 17. Unique Leader has been putting out some intense, brutal deathcore over the past couple of years, in my opinion, and they continue that annihilation with The Convalescents. This album is one of the best deathcore releases I've heard in 2017. It's probably one of the most listened to deathcore releases of 2017 for me, because it reminds us a lot of Within Destruction, A Night in Texas. I definitely think if you're a fan of Carnifex, you'll find something to like about these guys. But honestly, the brutalness of this album just holds no boundaries, if you ask me. I love the embraciveness, the barbaricness, and the darkness that is withheld on this album. In my opinion, it's kind of not as if like blackened deathcore, it's just got that kind of like blackened deathcore kind of atmosphere, rather than actually being like straight up blackened deathcore. But it's absolutely amazing if you ask me. So if you're into deathcore and you like A Night in Texas or Carnifex or Within Destruction or whoever in that sort of direction, then you'll find something to like about these guys. The Convalescents with This Is Hell, because this album is fucking hell. It's amazing. Alright, coming in at number 16, we have the Aussies doing what they do best, and that is pumping out some of the best core music that the world has to offer. And this has to be one of their best. And no, it's not the new Thy Art Is Murder, because that, in all honesty, was a bit disappointing for me, personally. Sorry, CJ. But, honestly, this is amazing. It is the new Aversion's Crown with Xenocide. Armed with a new vocalist and playing, obviously, the style that they do. They're just continuing that style, but with the addedness of a new vocalist that just sounds so demonic and just a bit more varied and disturbing sounding. It just adds that more War of the Worlds kind of atmosphere to this album. That's the basic music, like deathcore equivalent of listening to this album is seeing deathcore version of War of the Worlds. That's basically how it feels listening to that. It's like an alien invasion, and just getting just torn apart and eviscerated, and that's what this album does. It's absolutely amazing, and definitely has become my favourite album from these guys. It's absolutely amazing, so make sure you check out Xenocide by Aversion's Crown. Fucking intense as hell. Alright, coming in at number 15, we have another album from that kind of like incantation style of death metal that I've been on about, and this has been on repeat so much this year, and it's absolutely amazing if you ask me. I'm talking about the new Vasivus album entitled Temple of the Abyss. Excuse me. Wow. Vasivus brought out an EP at the start of the year, I believe, called Nuclear Chaos, and they said that was kind of like a tease of what the new album's going to be like. And it got us all excited. It got me all giddy. I was ready for a new Vasivus album, because Rite of the Ascension was one of my favourite EPs of 2015. If I'm not mistaken, 2015, 2016, I can't remember when it exactly came out off the top of my head, but I thought, oh, this is going to be next year, like 2018, when it's going to come out, but they dropped it, and my god, I absolutely love this album. I've had it on so much. It's dark, despair-filled, and just dismal and dark as hell. I absolutely love this album. It's that incantation style that I've been falling in love with in 2017, and this album has been on repeat so much. I love it. I love the kind of blackness and bleakness that it creates, and it's just bleak as hell. I absolutely love this, and definitely makes us proud to be a Northeast metalhead, so make sure you check out Vasivus with Temple of the Abyss, released under, I believe it's under Profound Law Records. Yeah, check it out. Excellent, excellent stuff. Moving on, we have number 14. We have, you could class this as 14 and 13 and see it's a top 26 list, but in my opinion, you can't listen to one of these albums without the other, in my personal opinion, because this is a double album set that you need to hear if you're into progressive metal. I'm talking about Xanthochrod with Of Earth and Axen, Act 1 and Act 2. These albums, wow, this is literally the metal equivalent of a movie soundtrack, an epic movie soundtrack, a quest sort of movie, you know, like that kind of movie, you know, fucking Lord of the Rings shit if you want to think that. But my god, these albums just slay it so much. I love the musicianship on this album. I love the songwriting, the performances, the overall production. Everything about this album is just screams out quality, and in my opinion, definitely screams out underratedness. I haven't seen a lot of people talk about this album on YouTube, but in my opinion, this album needs more exposure, because these albums are definitely the best thing the band's ever put out. Like, He Blessed with Boils was amazing, but this double set is where it's at. It is beautiful, it's encapsulating and just quite serenading at points, but it still has a lot of blasts in there, a lot of embracive parts, and it's just amazing. There's a lot going for it, so make sure you check out. If I had to pick, though, Act 1 would personally be my favourite, but you can't listen to Act 1 without Act 2, if you ask me. So check out Xanthochrod with Of Earth and Axen, Act 1 and Act 2. Alright, another one of my favourite deathcore releases from 2017 next, and this is at number 13, I believe. I've got a list here just to go by. Number 13, we have Oceano with Revelation. Now, Oceano's last album, Ascendance, I believe it was called, was a bit of a late bloomer for me. I think it was because I was that disappointed with Incisions when I got it. Like, the production was so weak, but Ascendance was a bit more upmark, but I still had Incisions in my head, so I couldn't click with it straight away. But Revelations, for me, just annihilates everything that Oceano has done. This is easily the most barbaric, the most annihilating and eviscerating thing they have ever put out. Like, Ascendance was fucking ridiculously heavy. It was indeed. But this is where it's at when it comes to the heaviness, and I absolutely love this album. If you're into deathcore and you want some great straight up deathcore from, in my opinion, one of the kings of deathcore, then you need to check out Oceano Revelations. If you haven't heard it, I'll be very surprised, because this is barbaric as it gets to deathcore. Absolutely amazing. So check that out. Amazing, amazing stuff. And a kind of a return to form, you could say. Alright, coming in at number 12, we have probably my favourite black metal release of 2017. I think so. Yep. Easily my favourite black metal release of 2017, and another great local album. And that is Allure of the Fallen by Horrified. Obviously, the band used to be that kind of old school death metal sort of vibe with their debut album. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. And then their last album, Of Despair, was along that same sort of line. But they've changed their genre into a more melodic, sort of quite atmospheric style of melodic black metal, basically. And my god, this album is so encapsulating with tasty bass licks, very melodic guitars, and very despairing filled vocals. This makes an absolute masterpiece to listen to. If you haven't listened to this album, make sure you do. Some great artwork on the front there. Definitely, if you don't stare at that artwork when listening to this album, what are you listening to this album for? It's the perfect album to listen to, and just look at the cover and just immerse yourself in that album cover with the music, because it is very fitting, but very melodic stuff. And I hope to continue along this style and bring out another album like this in the future, because this is exquisite stuff, and I just want to explore more of this genre if it's going to sound anything like this. So make sure you check out Horrified with Allure of the Fallen. Coming in at number 11, we have probably my favourite metalcore release of 2017. I haven't really listened to an awful lot of post-hardcore and metalcore this year. There's been some good releases and some pretty good releases, but none that have made the top albums, except for Emua and this one. I'm talking about While She Sleeps with You Are We. Yeah, what can I say about While She Sleeps that hasn't been said already? From This Is the Sixth to Brainwash to You Are we have the perfect trilogy, if you ask me. While She Sleeps just consistently putting out great, solid, catchy, just powerful metalcore from the UK, and in my opinion, they are one of the best in the genre of metalcore. They, from the heavy, catchy riffs to the soaring vocal melodies and the sheer power and emotion that they put into their records, this is definitely one of their best when it comes to that home front. Like, Brainwashed and This Is Six were fucking phenomenal, but this is just as phenomenal, if you ask me. As I said, a great, should we just say complete in the trilogy, should we just say it? This is absolutely amazing, so make sure you check out the new While She Sleeps with You Are We. Just check out the songs You Are We, Silence Speaks, Hurricane, and Civil Isolation. Just fucking solid stuff, if you ask me. Right, now we're cracking the top 10 spots, so here we go. Coming in at number 10, we have The Black Dahlia Murder with Nightbringers. If you're like me, you may or may not have been not as really impressed with the last two Black Dahlia Murder albums. Like, Everblack was really good when I first heard it, I fucking loved it, but then it sort of like died off a little bit for me. And then Abysmal, I felt was a good album, much better than Everblack, but I thought it didn't have the same vibes that I'd wanted to hear from the Black Dahlia Murder. But Nightbringers fucking irons out that and then absolutely fucking annihilates it. Just, this album is everything I wanted Everblack and Abysmal to be. A great follow-up. In my opinion, this is the best album since Ritual. That's how fucking good it is. I love Ritual, but this is just as good in my opinion. It's intense. It's definitely, I feel, the most intense, barbaric, and all-around heaviest Black Dahlia Murder albums we've had so far since Nocturnal, if you ask me. Like, Nocturnal was heavy, but this is another level of heavy, if you ask me. Just listen to it from the new drummer, just unleashing himself a lot more, if you ask me. And Trevor Strnad's vocal work on this album, honestly, Trevor is one of the best vocalists and best lyricists on the fucking planet, if you ask me. And if you need a fucking example of why he is, just listen to this album. He is an absolute monster of a vocalist. So yeah, make sure you check out the new Nightbringers, the new Black Dahlia Murder album called Nightbringers. It's amazing, if you ask me. Alright, next one I reviewed around the same time, and this is just as much of an amazing album, if you ask me, as the Black Dahlia Murder. I'm talking about Trivium with The Sin and the Sentence. Now, the last couple of Trivium albums have been kind of a bit disappointing. I mean, Silence in the Snow, in my opinion, that album needed some harsh vocals, but what can you do under the situations? And Vengeance Falls, it was a good album, but it did have a lot of disappointment to it compared to In Waves, in my opinion. And Shogun, obviously, their discography is pretty solid in that sense of it. I'm not dissing Vengeance Falls or Silence in the Snow by any means, they're still really solid albums. But The Sin and the Sentence is now my favourite Trivium album. I've had this on repeat since it came out non-stop. I absolutely love this album. I love the aspect of the new drummer giving a bit more of a extreme death metal kind of perspective on things and adding it to the already riffing heavy Trivium sound. And then not only that, some great songwriting and grooves on there. And then Matt Heafy has never sounded this fucking good, in my opinion. His vocals have been consistently good throughout every album, but this is where it takes. The soaring cleans are just amazing, just as amazing, in my opinion, as Silence in the Snow. But the aggressive-filled vocals are just as emotion-filled as they were on In Waves. It's just an all-around amazing package, if you ask me. So make sure you check out The Sin and the Sentence by Trivium. Fucking awesome, if you ask me. Alright. Coming in at number 8, we have quite a surprising release on this list, and I know people's going to click off at this point, but I don't care. Coming in at number 8, we have Alestorm with No Grave But the Sea. I absolutely love Alestorm, I'm not going to lie, and this album is definitely one of their best works, in my opinion. Like, I was kind of disappointed a little bit with their last album's Sunset on the Golden Age, I think it was called. There was only really one song, or a couple of songs on there that really stuck out for me, like Drink, for example. But I love every song on this album. It's such a fun record, so enjoyable, and that's what it is. It's not an album to like rip your face off or anything. It's just an all-round fun album to listen to and put you in such a fucking good mood and put you in the mood for fucking drinking, if you ask me. I mean, if you just need to hear the song Fucked with an Anchor, and you'll know exactly the type of attitude that Alestorm have. I think we've lost the kind of like serious kind of pirates Alestorm, like from the days of like Black Sails at Midnight and Captain Morgan's Revenge and stuff like that, and we're just getting the all-out fun Alestorm, and I absolutely love all-out fun Alestorm because this album is fucking amazing, and I still can't bring myself to listen to No Grave But the Sea for dogs. It's just going to be too fucking funny. But this album, make sure you check it out. I absolutely love Alestorm, and this album is definitely one of their best, if you ask me. Alright, what we're up to now? Ah, yes. Number 8, is it? Oh, no, number 7, sorry, my bad. Coming in at number 8, we have The Unholy Concoction with Carnivore. Wow, Unholy Concoction, I got exposed to this band through Metal in the Masses in the UK, the tournament to play Bloodstock, and checked out these guys, became friends with them, and reviewed their album, and this album has been on repeat. This is easily one of the most riffing albums of 2017. I love the, like, crowbar influenced vocals to the heavy, chunky, as if kind of like Black Label Society, Pantera, Down sort of styled guitar riffs and vocal work just all over this album. It's such a feel-good kind of album, fun album to listen to, but it's heavy as hell, and it just makes you want to headbang. This is easily one of the most headbangable albums of 2017. I absolutely love this album, so make sure you check out The Unholy Concoction. Great local, kind of like booze-influenced groove metal, so make sure you check them out. Really sick cover as well. Awesome, awesome stuff. Alright, next up we have number 6. We have another Early Bird album of the year, and this one probably held the top album spot for the longest part of 2017. I'm talking about Repulsive Vision with Look Past the Gore and See the Art. I've been waiting for this album for a long time from these guys, and it's finally here. And I absolutely love this album. This is as old school as you can get, in my opinion, when it comes to death metal. It just sounds like it's from back like the early 90s or back end of the 80s, in my opinion. Just the production side of it just adds that. but the songs themselves are so catchy and immersive. You just find yourself having this album on repeat and repeat and repeat. And I absolutely love the guitar work, the drums being very impactful, and the guitar work being very loud and crunchy. It's a very crunchy guitar tone, I feel, definitely on this album. Exceptional lead work, and the vocals just sound so dark and old school sound. Definitely very old school vibe to this album, but I absolutely love it. I think it's a great album, and definitely something, from being from the north of England, this is definitely something I'm proud of. They're from the northwest of England, I'm from the northeast. But honestly, this album I absolutely love. So make sure you check out Repulsive Vision with Look Past the Gore and See the Art, released under Mighty Music. Phenomenal stuff. So check that out. And now we are on to the top 5 albums of 2017. Now I might as well drop this in there that all 5 of these albums could easily be Album of the Year for me. They are all good in their own individual rights, and it is painfully hard and hair-tearing. Like, I could physically tear my hair out when I tried to decide on an Album of the Year, because all these are absolutely amazing, if you ask me. But to narrow it down, these are my top 5 albums of 2017, bar none. And we're going to start things off with arguably the best deathcore release of 2017. This is just, wow, absolutely amazing. I'm talking about Flesh Coffin by Lorna Shore. Holy fucking shit. In all honesty, Psalms was a bit disappointing for me when I first heard it, but when I first heard this just gave us chills and shivers just listening to it, to how black, bleak and dismal and heavy it was. All this in one. The whole black metal vibes are all melodic and creepy and dark and make your hair stand on end, but the heaviness when it comes in just punches you right in the fucking face and just makes you just want to just headbang and just punch people. All that in one on one album just is a recipe for perfection, if you ask me. This album is fucking so captivating and so memorable, in my opinion, of 2017. So much so that I'm actually thinking about getting that emblem, like the album emblem, tattooed on us at some point. But yeah, this is absolutely amazing. Make sure you check out the best deathcore release of 2017, Lorna Shore with Flesh Coffin. All I can say is, long live the fucking darkness. Fucking amazing stuff. Coming in at number 4, easily the album that was there for me the most in 2017. When my uncle passed away, this album was there for me from the get-go, and it comforted me, and just every time I listen to this album I think of my uncle. And not to take away from the fact that this album is just amazing, if you ask me. I'm talking about Archive with As the Fire Takes Hold. Now, this personally is a bit more of a different kettle of fish compared to the Escape Key. The Escape Key was, for all it was Album of the Year in 2013, I believe it was. That was more of a bit more of a straight up melodic metalcore sort of style. Whereas this one takes more of a bit of a progressive sort of vibe to it, and a bit more of a even more melodic side to it. And honestly, I think all those in the cauldron definitely add up to make an absolutely amazing album, and definitely a picturesque album. And it's beautiful serenading, and the vocal work, to the guitar work, to the drum work, to the bass work, all of it is amped up that little bit more, just to give them a bit more to play with. And honestly, I absolutely love this album, and I might as well add, it was such a huge honour to play it with these guys on their album release show at the O2 this year. Wow, this album is absolutely amazing. Self-release as well, I might as well add, but make sure you check it out. Archive with As the Fire Takes Hold. If you're into Killswitch Engage, you'll find something to like about these guys. The Geordie Killswitch Engage is back. Alright, now we're going to get on to the top 3, and we have a surprise. We have a thrash album in the top 3, or even in the top list in general. What's the world coming to? But this album from my favourite thrash band, and this is one of my favourite albums by these guys. I'm talking about Havoc with Conformicide. Wow. Time Is Up is easily my favourite thrash album of all times. Their last album, Unnatural Selection, I think it was called, I was quite disappointed with, I'm not going to lie. I thought it just didn't offer as much as Time Is Up, in my opinion, and I haven't really listened to their debut album, I'm not going to lie. But this album, when it first came out, and I listened to it, I first heard the song Hang 'Em High. Oh, fucking hell. It's riffs galore. Absolutely. That's one thing that I've loved from this year. There's been so many good riffing albums, and this is definitely one of the kings. It's fast, it's intense and aggressive. The vocals are so ear-piercing and just so powerful and filled with so much emotion that you just can't ignore the fact that they're there. They're just up in your grill, just intense. But easily my favourite factor of this album is the bass work. Nick Strangelis is easily my favourite bassist at the moment, and in fact of all time. He's so fucking good at his craft. Just creating these soaring melodies under these thrashy riffs just adds so much to it. And this album, I feel personally, compared to the last couple of albums, it's really added a lot more progressive vibes and a bit more of a, like, as if kind of like adds a bit more originality to it and makes it seem a bit more fresher, if you ask me. And that's why I absolutely love this album. So make sure you check out the song Hang 'Em High. You'll just be singing that song for days on end. Absolutely love this album. And I might as well also add their cover of Slaughtered by Pantera. One of my favourite Pantera songs, but fuck me, that is fucking awesome. And number 2, we have the best death metal release of 2017. This is sheer fucking power, majesty, and just all in all, just skull crushing. I'm talking about the new Septic Flesh with Codex Omega. Fuck, this is an intense listen. I honestly feel like Titan was a bit disappointing, in all honesty, and The Great Mass is still one of my favourite death metal albums of all time. But this is overtook as being my favourite Septic Flesh album. From every song on this album, it is filled with so much punch, heaviness, and just power. And as I said before, majesty. There's not a lot of albums that can be filled with so much majesty and monolithicness all in one, and the new Septic Flesh covers that. And I think one of the things that's added to this album is Crim on drums. Crim is one of the best death metal drummers, if you ask me. He's very creative, and this album proves it. I didn't expect him actually to join Septic Flesh. He just popped out of nowhere saying, check out my new band, Septic Flesh. And I was like, me and me band were like, he's fucking joined Septic Flesh. What's this going to lay waste to the band? This is what it lays waste to, and this lays waste to fucking everything, if you ask me. This is easily the best death metal release. Just hear the song, Third Testament. If Satan was their father. Oh, those monstrous vocals. Absolutely amazing stuff. Just make sure you check out Septic Flesh's Codex Omega. You will not be disappointed, if you ask me. And now we get to my top album of 2017. All these albums have been absolutely fantastic in the top 5. But this album is what I've listened to the most. When I first heard it, I was blown away by it. And the reason I'm going to give it Album of the Year, primarily, is what it takes and offers. It offers a lot from loads of departments. From straight up hardcore, to beatdown, to death metal, to deathcore, to sludge, to groove metal. It offers so much that it was hard not to make this Album of the Year. And every time I listen to it, I find something new to like about it. And in my opinion, it's just the king of riffs. This is easily one of the most riffing albums in history. This is exceptionally good. It's not even exceptional. It's outstandingly good. That's how good it is. I'm going to have to take a drink because the album's just making it so... Oh. But yeah, this is my Album of the Year for 2017, bar none. I'm talking about Malevolence with Self-Supremacy. Self-Supremacy is amazing. Like, their last album, Reign of Suffering, I think it was called, was a really fucking good album. But it still had a lot missing for it, if you ask me. But this album offers so much. There's a lot more of those crowbar Kirk Weinstein, or Wernstein, however you pronounce his name, influence vocals. There's a lot more of those. Are a little bit more potent this time around. They're a lot more frequently used, and I think that adds so much to it. But it's aggressive, hard hitting. When every element hits, from the sludge to the death metal to the hardcore to the beatdown, you know exactly where they are and how hard they're going to hit you, and then they just go, nope, it's even more than that. Wow, this album riffs so hard. It's easily my album of the year. Beatdown Hardware did an absolutely fantastic job of getting this out. Make sure you check out Malevolence, because this album is heavy as fucking balls, and definitely, I have to say, the artwork is fantastic. It kind of follows up to Reign of Suffering very, very fucking well, if you ask me. But yeah, this album kills so much, so make sure you check out Malevolence with Self Supremacy, my Super Metal 1993 album of the year for 2017, bar none. So yeah, make sure you check out those out. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this list. I know this one's a bit more of an edited one, because I kept on fucking up, but what can you do? But hope you're going to discover some new bands through this list, and 2018 is going to bring some heavy riffs. I know we've got the new Portal album coming out, we've got the new Summoning, Hooded Menace, and I can't think of any others off the top of my head, but there's still 12 months to go, and then once again we'll be doing a top albums list next year. But yeah, make sure you check out all the bands that I said in that list, and I'll see you in 2018, and remember, stay metal, and I'll see you later. Cheers.